What's going on, everybody? Brian Hardy here, checking in again from the Toronto Spark Biohacking Summit 2018, and I'm sitting down with my new friend Siim Land from Finland.
Estonia.
Estonia.
Yeah.
Okay, I shouldn't have assumed.
It's
Estonia, and part of the Biohacker Center, part of the team, right? And really building quite a, from what I can tell from the outside, exciting and evolutionary life, and travels. I'm seeing you're traveling around. You're connecting with great teachers. We were just commenting on the strength camp,
Yeah.
down from Elliot.
Yeah.
And so, thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Yeah.
It's awesome to have you, and I would love to know a bit of the Coles notes for how you came to be doing all this. What was it that brought you into biohacking, health, personal development, and so forth?
Yeah, for sure. Like I would think like if I were to go really back, then I've always been very curious about the human experience, and especially like from the perspective of evolution and us as a species globally. So I've always been curious about what makes us human, where are we going, where we came from, and how we can like live the most well-functioning and most optimal lives with what we've got, and to gonna optimize it. So that's where I got interested in learning new stuff, constantly improving myself. And in regards to actual biohacking, then I started off with it maybe like from the basic stuff of like nutrition, exercise, and building muscle and losing fat and so on. But I kind of delved into a deeper rabbit hole of seeing that it's a much bigger picture, and then just lifting weights and such. That there's other factors that always influence your health, and kind of focusing more on the longevity and making sure that it's not just this myopic point of view, and kind of trying to incorporate the entire bigger picture and to get better myself, so I could teach it to others and share the experiences.
Right on. And I understand you actually have written at least one book, if not a couple.
Yeah, there's a few of them, yeah.
Yeah, and you're 23 years old at this point?
24, yeah.
24. And did you take a traditional educational path at all, or did you just jump straight into your own thing?
I did finish my high school and went to college to study anthropology, so that was also one of the things that I've always been kind of curious about, interested. And during that time, I was always contemplating how I'm going to leave my legacy, so to say, and what I'm going to do, what's my purpose. And I kind of gravitated towards on the side of writing, or not necessarily writing, but simply like a messenger, some communicator, teacher, yeah. And the writing was the first thing that I started off with during college with my blog and articles. Kind of stumbled upon coming out with a book, and then moving on with things like YouTube videos, podcasts, and other social media platforms, and eventually kind of getting involved with the Biohacker Summit team and growing on from there. But I did finish my university. I got a bachelor's in anthropology, and currently I'm simply mostly focused primarily on like my personal brand and the work I do with that. So I believe the traditional route of the traditional education system is not necessarily needed, but it can definitely help. And I was simply mindful enough to kind of really take action really quick and build my own foundation for my own sources of income, so I wouldn't have to be dependent of going to a 9-to-5 after college or paying off student loans or whatever. I was able to kind of springboard myself really fast and really take action really quickly to make sure that I can get to do what I want to do, what I really want to do, and to do the work that matters to me. So I've been quite fortunate in that sense.
Right on. And was it through the Elliots and various other YouTubers and podcasters that you thought, okay, if they're doing it, I can do it, and sort of
yeah,
put your own spin on it and get it out there?
For sure, like there's definitely like a lot of mentorship that you can get from these mediums. Like YouTube has so much content, over abundance of information actually, like and everywhere it's everywhere. Like we live in this day and age, like we have so much knowledge, so much information, but most people aren't able to do it. So it's definitely very helpful, and it's kind of very going to kind of allows you to find these shortcuts and have these teachers who will motivate you to do those changes that you need to do. But at the same time, you can't escape the work, and you can't escape the right mindset that will kind of leverage that information or to put it into right use. So it would be better to not have any information at all, but take action and learn from your mistakes and fail, but still keep going, versus having all the information and waiting for the perfect moment, and waiting until all the stars align and not taking action at all, because the perfect inevitable moment come. You always simply have to, do what you have, or make the best of what you got already, and keep going and trusting process. So.
Right on, right on. And over lunch, we were chatting about various topics in the health and wellness space, and Matt brought up deuterium-depleted water, and how camels can go many months without drinking water because of this reaction with hydrogen and sunlight and fat and all these types of things. And then someone had mentioned how you don't really drink water, and they've offered you water, and you said, no, I don't need it, I make my own, right?
Right.
Break that down for people who are like, have no understanding, and you can go into the depths, right? But what is that? How did you discover that? And how do you feel living that way?
That way. Well, of course, first of all, like hydration is like one of the critical things for life. You need water, and your body is mostly made of water, and you can't really survive for too long without any water at all. Like that's like the truth.
Yes.
But the thing is that also, like, your body is also very adaptable and very resourceful itself. So the theory is that during this process called beta oxidation or fat oxidation, when you're burning fat, the byproduct of that process is hydrogen molecules that your body can still use. Like the saturated fat gets broken down into different compounds, like glycerol and hydrogen and oxygen and carbon dioxide and everything. It's to release the energy, and that part of that water can be used by your body to it makes sense, and it's true, it's proven to be happening, and that's how the camels also survive, because they're gonna gather all that fat into their hump, and whenever they're going on these longer trips in the desert, there's not much water they can actively consume, like carrying a water bottle around and drinking all the time. So they're kind of creating it their own, and the same process, the same mechanism is in humans as well. Fat is a source of, like, the human body is so adaptable in a sense that it has found a way to gather everything that it needs in those little fat cells, the adipose tissue cells, adipocytes, and it is a source of calories, it's a source of water, it's also has hormonal effects on the body in regards to the endocrine system, but part of it is also that it's still requires a process of adaptation. Everyone has been heard a lot about nutritional ketosis and the ketogenic diet.
Yeah.
So the way ketosis works is that your body becomes fat adapted. It learns how to use that fat cells more resourcefully and get access to them much better.
Yes.
So if you are more keto adapted, more fat adapted, then you can go for days without eating, because you're tapping into your fat stores, and likewise you can kind of get water adapted, which is like a layer deeper than regular fat adaptation. You can go for longer without needing water as well, which itself isn't necessarily a desired thing to do all the time, because it's a good idea to keep your body hydrated and keep the mitochondria functioning. But it's a small stressor that in some small doses can have a positive beneficial effect. There are a lot of documented benefits about fasting and caloric restriction and so on, but the similar benefits can be accomplished with some dry fasting as well, in some very small amounts. There aren't definitely any research done on it, because it's quite radical. It's quite not really researched at all. But there are definitely in historical examples in different religions, again, in different spiritual practices, and in older medicinal schools as well. It's been a part of interventions, of medical interventions, and the benefits of these periods of, let's say, water deprivation and as a stressor, as a beneficial stressor are, is that it's going to speed up the effects of the fasted state as well. They say that 1 day of dry fasting equals 3 days of water fasting, but whether or not it's true, it doesn't matter. But it's still like it's more stressful for the body, and therefore the body will adapt faster, or it's going to benefit from that as well. So yeah, it can be done in some aspects, and of course, overhydration is also like not good. Like you're going to drink so much water that your body is going to get rid of it, and the issue with that might be that if you're urinating a lot, if you're sweating a lot, excreting a lot of water, then you're also gonna eliminate a lot of electrolytes and minerals, which are actually much more critical for cellular functioning, and so on. So like that's why you would never want to do like regular water fasting for too long, because you drink a lot of water, but you're losing a lot of the minerals. You're not eating, and you're not replenishing them. So in that example, definitely drinking salted water or doing dry fasting might be beneficial.
Okay, and is dry fasting something you've done?
Yeah, I haven't done it like a lot. Like I'm not doing it actively, just because it is quite a stressor, and it's much more effective to kind of drink water, of course, and eat and exercise and such, because you can't really be that physically active if you're in an energy deprived state.
Yes.
So, but I do sometimes use it. For instance, when I'm traveling, like that's a good opportunity to do it. Like when it's more convenient that way. You don't have to worry about drinking plastic water or getting the quality sources, because you can spend that time actually doing some fasting or avoiding the hassle, so to say.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'd seen a PDF that my friend Ian Clark put together. He was on Ben Greenfield's show talking about dry fasting a while back, and they posted this PDF that was very poorly translated from a Russian source.
Oh yeah.
It was hard to understand what they were trying to say, but I understand the Russians are sort of the leaders in this regard.
Yeah.
And there's a guy local here in Toronto who does the Master Fast, which is a specific type of protocol with herbs and juices and stuff, and then he builds people up to doing dry fasting. And those I know that have done it have said it's like the benefits are amazing. I haven't had the reason to do it so much, but it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's like you do feel slightly different versus a regular fast, and it's not difficult at all. Like you get used to it really fast, and it's somewhat of an euphoric state, a bit like a lot of people say that when they're fasting, their mental clarity is through the roof, and they're so focused, very calm, no stress, and really enjoyable almost in some sense, because the brain is on this BDNF, neurotrophic factors, endorphins, everything is through the roof, and kind of maybe in a dry fast state you kind of increase it exponentially even more. So it's okay, and you don't really feel tired that after longer, once you get used to it, of course, or if you're doing it from like a good solid basis of keto adaptation, then it's quite easy even to do.
Okay. And then in terms of the hormonal benefits, is that something that you've used with keto, with training, with fasting for that building muscle, burning fat? Because I know, from your Instagram, you got some pretty primal pictures up there, right? And clearly you train, and clearly you know how to build, a certain kind of physique. I'm curious if that's played a big role in that, or just something you've played with, or?
It's not going to be directly promoting muscle growth, definitely not. Like it is a catabolic state, you're breaking down tissue. And
I meant more, I guess, intermittent.
Intermittent,
so intermittently, and then training
for
and breaking and.
Yeah, like I'm simply aware of these processes enough that I'm actively knowing that if I am spending that much time being in a fasted state, that I'm going to compensate for it afterwards and overcompensate it, in fact. So like it is a matter of balancing it throughout, let's say, the 24-hour period or throughout the entire week or something. Like these cycles are actually more larger than just one day. Yeah, but some benefit might be that if you are fasting, then you're going to become more insulin sensitive, and your body is going to become more readily absorbable for the nutrients that you're going to get afterwards. And there is truth that fasting increases growth hormone. Fasting increases the precursors to testosterone production. It's going to improve gut health. You're going to absorb the food better. And those things are indirectly going to help you to build muscle, in a sense, afterwards, once you start eating. But fasting itself, not necessarily going to build muscle.
No.
So you have to be, you can definitely do like a muscle building protocol with intermittent fasting and improve your health at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but you have to be aware of, you know, how much nutrition do I give myself, and how far of each spectrum of how far on the each end of these spectrums am I? Am I being too catabolic? Am I being too anabolic, or whatever? And then bringing it together based on your goals. If you do want to become like a bigger, like a sportsman or an athlete, then you have to be more on the anabolic side.
Yeah.
If you're not that physically active, then you can get away with not eating that much and not worrying about it, and so on. So yeah, it's definitely a matter of balancing it constantly and cycling between these processes.
Very cool. Very cool. Now we're going to blast through a few of our rapid fire questions.
Sure, hit me.
And yeah, so favorite self-care practice?
I would say that meditation is probably like one of the best things you can do. That is, it's like a meta skill. It's going to improve everything else you do as well. Like and lower stress, teaches you mindfulness, teaches you self-awareness, increases, you know, gray matter volume, and so on. So I do kind of try to implement meditation into my routines as a way to take a little step back and to kind of reevaluate myself from an objective perspective, and to kind of do some body scanning and things like that to realign my actions with my purpose to see if I'm heading in the right direction.
Very good. Very good. If you could only have one supplement or superfood to take with you to like a deserted island, what would you bring?
That's a good question. When you're on a deserted island, then you probably don't need vitamin D or anything. You get the sunlight.
No, of course, yeah. We'll say it's a tropical island.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I would take like maybe something like magnesium or something, some sort of a mineral that helps the mitochondria to function better, and because you can get like food everywhere, and your body will adapt to certain macronutrient ratios and micronutrient requirements, but you know, the electrolytes, the minerals, those are like fundamental, and those are the real driving forces of the engine that keep you going.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. What's a book that you can share that after you read, changed your life forever?
Yeah, like probably my biggest paradigm shifting book has been Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. So he was like a Nazi concentration camp survivor from Auschwitz, and he was a psychiatrist, and he was thinking what made some people come out of those horrible situations alive, and why others people failed. So the hypothesis is that those who found a greater meaning in their suffering were able to kind of push off the desire to die, or their body's entropy, in a sense. They found more strength because they had a bigger purpose to live for. And I think also like this is also one of the biggest existential angst of being a human as well. Like, what does it all mean, and where are we going, and I don't want to die, whatever it is. So this sort of having a bigger why and having a bigger purpose in your life will definitely make you a happier person. Is going to increase your performance, increase your health and well-being, and at the same time going to actually give you this sort of a feeling that there is like something bigger to work towards, and there is something more meaningful in what I do.
Right on. Right on.
And of course, one additional thing from that, like straight from the book, is that it doesn't matter if you are going through some sort of physical turmoil or suffering. It doesn't matter, because your mindset about it is going to determine whether or not you're going to suffer. Like pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. You can always choose to perceive the situation in a different way, regardless if you are going through hell. You know, this is going to still pass, or I can shift my mindset and not be affected by it, simply by shifting the mental switch and seeing it from like a different perspective completely. So that's like a huge skill that you can use in any type of difficulty you're going through, or any kind of challenge, or whatever it is. Like simply flip it and use the power of your mind.
Right on. Right on. Yeah, the most powerful tool in the universe, in my opinion. Over the next 6 months, is there anything in particular in your business, life, travel that you're like really looking forward to? Probably many things, but
Yeah, there are probably a few of them, but I'm actually writing my upcoming book about
Okay.
similar topic we talked about, the fasting and these anabolic and catabolic cycles. So it is going to be primarily focused on how to create this sort of fasting-focused lifestyle that is going to be pro-longevity and pro-performance at the same time. So you wouldn't have to sacrifice either. So you can find just optimal balance based on your goals and situation to live longer, live healthier, and while still building muscle and still performing at your peak.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay. I look forward to checking that one out.
yeah.
Is there a habit, and I might shift this one actually, just given the last conversation we had with Tim and flipping things into a more positive perspective. So, is there a habit or a belief that you might like to bring in more strongly to your life or to align with?
I would say it's something of taking the right kind of action, like not necessarily being so action oriented all the time, just to take action for the sake of action, because you may end up spinning your wheels and you may end up wasting a lot of the resources. Whereas if you were to take a little step back, make a better strategy, make a better, clearer path, then following that path will also be much easier than going off in random directions and getting lost and circling back around and taking another route. So yeah, I do believe that it is better to keep moving and keep moving forward, even though you might not know what's the exact destination is. But at the same time, you still have to be, careful enough to not get lost or not to be so action-oriented all the time. To actually be more of a like a strategic thinker, and not be simply hustling for the sake of hustling, and to kind of have a bigger plan before you actually take action.
Right on. So purposeful action.
Yeah,
Intentful.
that's good. Intention, yeah.
Okay, I dig it. I dig it. And then last one. Given that the name of the show is Redefining Reality, when you hear that term, what does it bring up for you?
I think redefining reality for me is, like I mentioned earlier, using this flip of a switch in your mind to see everything from a completely different perspective. Because us as sentient beings, all of the reality we do experience is it's unraveling in our subjective experience, and we all see things differently. And you can always change that through different mediums, different tactics, and redefine reality would be to kind of always seeing the reality in such a way that would kind of make it clearer for you and make it more meaningful for you to live this reality that you do want to live or to embody it.
All right. I dig it. I dig it. Siim, thank you for your time, man. Thank you for being here, contributing to this movement, contributing in the ways that you do on YouTube, in writing, teaching people, and being an example, right? A relatively young example of what's possible and the direction people can go, and that you can make your own way.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, very inspiring.
Yeah,
keep up the good work, my man. Okay.
Awesome.
For everybody listening, if you enjoyed this, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe and share this conversation with someone in your world who could benefit. That's it for now. Stay tuned as we keep rocking here at the Toronto Biohacking Summit 2018. Be well, my friends.